Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Wayward Lasses All the Things podcast. I'm your host, Brittany, joined by my sister, Courtney.
Hello, sister.
Hello, sister. Not so sickly anymore, sister.
No, quite better now, thank you.
Quite better, much better, excellent. And our mother, Amy.
Hello, ladies.
Hello, Mother. So today we are going to be talking about love languages. We wanted to talk about this for Valentine's Day, but lost track of time, and alas, we are already in March. So we'll be talking about love languages. But before we do that, Mom's got trivia, without her saying so, I deduced that she misses doing trivia. So next week she will not be doing trivia. She will be participating in trivia. Is that correct, Mother?
Oh, it's okay. Yes, you are correct. All right.
I know. Okay.
I know.
I know.
I moved it over here so I could see you ladies. Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Okay. This is, I guess, famous movie lines.
Wait, so what are we finishing the line or guessing the movie?
Guessing the movie. Sorry. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends.
Sorry.
The Hunger Games, Brave,
Harry Potter.
Dumbo, or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter. Dumbledore says it about Neville.
Okay. Speaking of Harry, that's right. Speaking of Harry Potter, there is this girl that is reading Harry Potter for the first time and recording her reactions, and it is hilarious. And it's so great because the entire Harry Potter community in the comments is like, no one say anything. It's
awesome. I had to find it. Yeah, definitely.
I'll send you a video.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mom.
No worries. All right. The second one, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Punk? Clint Eastwood.
Sudden Impact, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Dirty Harry, or Days of Thunder?
Dirty Harry.
Brittany's totally lost.
I told you I'm not good with these.
That's 2-0 for Court. 2-0. All right.
Thank you.
Couple more.
I'll give you a chance, Britt.
All right, how about this one? You're gonna need a bigger boat. Titanic, Deep Blue Sea, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Jaws. What is it?
Jaws.
All right, and the last one, because we're not going to spend all time doing this. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Apocalypse Now, Tropic Thunder, Saving Private Ryan. None of these.
D. Pick number D, my lord.
D?
Is that what it is?
Tropic Thunder.
No. It is Apocalypse Now.
What?
It's also in a movie called Evolution with Orlando Jones. Sorry. So I thought it was D.
I think so.
Where he says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
All right. One more.
I'm seeing Apocalypse Now. I don't see the other one.
Huh?
Go ahead, Mom.
For Good Measure. I can't decide which one. Wax on, wax off.
Karate Kid.
Good job.
Okay. Should we end on that?
I mean, how many more do you have left?
What was the other one? What was the other one that you were choosing between?
The other one was I feel the need
for speed.
Have you seen The video, Courtney sent it to me. Have you seen lightning strike water? Ka-chow.
Do you? I gotta send it to you, Mom.
It's Lightning McQueen from Cars.
Oh.
Yes.
Which one? You just repeated it. You never said the movie.
Top Gun?
Top Gun.
Yes. Okay. All right. We're done.
Okay.
Next.
Yes. It's from Cars. There's a character called Lightning McQueen.
I know that.
And there's a bunch of these there's a bunch of these videos going around. And it's like, have you ever seen lightning hit water? And like you're watching this, I don't know, thing of a lake, and all of a sudden Lightning McQueen goes by and it's like, ka-chow. It happened to Alex the other day. It was like, have you ever seen lightning strike a plane twice? And he was like, that's stupid. I was just dying laughing. It was like, ka-chow, ka-chow.
That's my kind of humor. I loved it. I laughed way longer than I should have when I first saw that video, and then I sent it to Brittany.
Oh, goodness. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and hop into today's episode. We are talking about the love languages today. This was not something that I knew probably until, I don't know, I feel like right around when we first started the podcast, I learned about what the love languages were, and it was very insightful. I think for a lot of people, you just think that you love somebody, but there are different ways to show your love, to show that you love somebody, and there are different ways that you like to be shown love, if that makes sense. Did I summarize that appropriately, ladies?
You did.
Okay,
and I
perfect.
think understanding it too, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, has helped me in my marriage, because I think there are times where I'm like, he doesn't love me. Or you don't feel loved. No, not that, but like there are moments in a marriage where you don't feel like that person is showing you the type of love that you want or need, but it could just be because they express their love differently. They think they are. So anyway, we'll get into it, but
so it's just side
absolutely
note. I never even heard of the love languages, and that could explain a lot for me.
Maybe then your 30-minute crash course, maybe you should do the extended course.
Maybe you should do the 8-hour course, Mom. Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
Oh, man. Okay, so the 5 love languages. The first one is words of affirmation. And this is going to be people that like comments, encouragement, hearing I love you, verbal affection. My husband is words of affirmation. And you can also be a combination of these.
Yes.
Acts of service. This is my love language. Doing things for someone, helping them out with chores or errands, anything that makes their life easier, an act of service. The third one is receiving gifts. I am not this person, but some people feel it's not necessarily just about materialism, but the thoughtfulness behind purchasing a gift and giving it to someone, or maybe even making a gift and giving it to someone. Then you have quality time. This is the type of love that craves on focused, undivided attention. So that's just having a meaningful conversation instead of just sitting together on the couch, actually talking or doing an activity together. And then physical touch, which is pretty self-explanatory, simple hug, cuddling, anything like that. So those are the 5 love languages. And like I said, you can be a combination of a couple of these, but you have certain love languages that's how people show that they love you, and then you can also show those love languages. I feel like I'm not describing that part perfectly correct.
No, you're good. So question, because I just did the
crash course.
Yes. So side note, I think you two had read the book, The 5 Love Languages, and I tried to read the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman and only got the Cliff Notes version. So does he cover, like, if you hit like a lot of these, then you're just really needy?
No.
Are you Are you asking for a friend?
No, I'm just curious. Why are you laughing? I'm just curious. If you like hit every one of these, are you like just a really needy person? I'm serious.
I would say in general though, everybody likes to feel all of these at some point in time. Like if you I would say that mine is definitely a 100% acts of service. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy quality time and physical touch and receiving a gift here or there, being, told I love you or you look great today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that it's necessarily needy is the wrong word. I think it's that you express love in different ways. It's really what it is. It's more about identifying the ways that you express love and learning and understanding how to communicate that with others.
Yeah, so that was, I think, oh, go ahead.
I guess I'm asking you guys the questions because, again, I only had the Cliff Notes version. But does he cover also that as you age, that your acts of love or your love language can change?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can have different love languages. You're not just necessarily one of these things. Many people have a dominant love language, but you could have 1, 2, 3, or all 5.
Yeah. The first part of the book is helping you identify, and he goes into great lengths of examples. I think he was a marriage coach or counselor for a while. So he goes into different examples to help you figure out which one is yours and maybe which one is your dominant and which one maybe is a secondary. But that you can have combinations of those. So he talks about, like I said, identifying what your love language or languages are, learning how to communicate that with your partner, and then identifying what your partner's love language is so that you can start showing them love and affection using their language. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, like I said, I'm acts of service. And before I read this, I thought, okay, I love when people like do things for me, so I'll do things for Alex. I'm gonna organize his sock drawer. I'm gonna clean this up for him. Like I'm gonna put his clothes away. That's not his love language. So it took a while for me to kind of realize those things. And if I wanted to make my marriage better, I needed to identify what his love languages were, which are definitely words of affirmation and physical touch, but then start embedding that into everything that I do. So with the words of affirmation for him, I would start thinking, okay, so what are some positive things that I can say to him? And when you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, obviously that's going to be easy to do. But then when you start thinking about what you say every day, you're like, wow, I don't do these at all. So I would say something like, your hair looks great today, or your suit looks incredible. I love that tie. And just words to kind of build him up, because that's his love language.
Yeah. I have an idea. So I wrote down a couple of scenarios that might help us hone in on these love languages. So Mom, I'm going to read a couple of scenarios and just think about how you would feel if you were in this situation. Okay.
Okay.
So first, you come home after a long day to find the dishes washed and dinner simmering on the stove. How does that make you feel? You don't have to answer, but you could think.
Huh.
Or our listeners, how does that make you feel? Do you think that would make you feel loved? So that would be acts of service. Mm-hmm. Brittany said, yes, please. That makes me feel very loved. Yes. Me too. I think I'm acts of service and I'm words of affirmation. Both. I would definitely appreciate that over a gift. Okay, scenario 2. Your partner leaves you a sweet note on the bathroom mirror before you leave for work.
Oh. Words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm. Words of affirmation. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Next scenario. Your partner spends the evening completely focused on a movie marathon with you, cuddling close and sharing popcorn. So that I think would fall under 2. That's like quality time, but also physical touch, because you're cuddling and you're close together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Next one. Your partner surprises you with tickets to your favorite band's concert.
Gifts.
That's receiving gifts. Yep.
Yeah. That just made me think, Mom, aren't you going to a concert?
No.
No?
No.
What
concert? Happened?
Okay. No. I thought you guys were going to a concert. You could tell us later.
Kind of fell through. Okay, yes.
Oh, okay. Tell us later. Anyway. All right. Last one. Your partner tells you how much they appreciate your hard work and dedication, highlighting your strengths and accomplishments. So that would be words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
So now, for me, some of these, if David came home and gave me concert tickets or gave me tickets to something, I would think that was so sweet and I would love it. And I would hug him before it and I'd be like, oh, that was so sweet. I would not appreciate it. But for me, I think it would mean more if I came home and the house was clean and dinner was already, without him having to ask, dinner was already done. For me, that would be a little more impactful than just buying me a gift. But I would still appreciate the gift. Not to say, don't buy me gifts because it's not my love language. I would still appreciate it. But this kind of gives you a little bit of, I guess, different points of view that people, not everyone's the same. Mm-hmm. Just because something is meaningful to me, it's not going to have the same impact on other people, and it might not have the same impact on my husband. So I think it's helpful to really understand where you are and where your partner is, because it'll help you communicate better.
Mm-hmm. Is David receiving gifts?
No. David is, David's a physical touch, quality time.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I hate to miss that.
I think actually Alex is also, I think he's more words of affirmation and receiving gifts because he communicates by giving gifts. And so he'll get me things. And I'm just like, oh,
yeah.
But your socks are so close to the laundry.
Receiving gifts.
What did you say, Ma? Say that again?
Well, I was going to comment all this work. What is it,
what
Brittany?
Did it get me?
What did it get me?
All this work and what did it get me?
I was going to say for my partner, I think he's everything but receiving gifts.
So, okay. And what do you notice most of the time that he does for you?
Yeah. What is your love language?
I don't think I have one.
You do. You don't recognize
they're all great. They're all great, but none of them are this is what would really make my life easier, but doesn't necessarily mean that's my love language. You know what I'm saying?
I think you need to not do the crash course.
I think you need the 8-hour course, Mom.
I think you need to read the whole thing.
Because each of these, I like them, to a degree, but it's not like one stands out over the other.
Yeah, because you might have a combination.
Okay,
you're so funny, Mom.
All right, on to the next thing.
Mom, I feel like you are quality time and acts of service.
Okay, wait though, because this is not just one of the other things I wanted to talk about was the different myths of the love language, and one of the myths. Why can't I say that word? Myths. One of the myths is that love languages are just for romantic relationships. And that's actually not true. This can be incredibly helpful in all different kinds of relationships, not just romantic ones. So think about our relationship to each other or your friendships. When do you feel the most loved by your daughters? Is it when we're all spending time together? Right? Or I think that's something.
Yeah, so it varies from one relationship to the next.
That can be true too. Yeah.
It's not just a romantic. It could be a platonic. It could be a familial, whatever.
Yeah. So if you're not sure what your love language is, you don't, expand your horizons a little and think outside the romantic relationship. Think about how you relate to other people in your life. My chair is squeaky. Do you guys hear that? Squeaking.
I heard that.
It was like a duck.
That's just it, though. It's none of these are really, yes, I like the quality time, but it's I guess, I've reached a certain point in my life, things are nice to have, but if I don't get them, then it's okay. Maybe that's a bad thing.
think Mom might need some
No,
therapy.
I agree with you because...
What did you say?
She said nothing. I agree with
say?
you. It is nice to get things, but I'm not like, I'm definitely not a receiving gifts person. Sure, it's nice to get things, but it's not like, oh, wow.
Yeah, and I don't think this means, too, that this is the only way you can express your love to others. It really, for me, this is a tool. Because, again, there are moments where I may feel frustrated about something, and Davi doesn't realize it because maybe he thinks he's showing me love. Mm-hmm. But it's just not how I feel love in the moment, and so we're not connecting. Does that make sense? Like, for example, David's physical touch. So if he comes over and hugs me, and I'm just like, like when you're just getting off me right now. So for him, that's rejection. Right? Because he's feeling like, well, that's how I show my love. So I'm showing it to you because I want you to know that I love you. But in that moment, that is not how I am expressing my love. What I really want is somebody to do the dishes and, finish up the laundry. And that would mean more to me than a hug. So it's a tool because if he understands that about me and I understand that about him, we can avoid an argument, or we can understand each other a little bit better so that we can get things accomplished without hurting each other's feelings. Sorry. I'm just thinking about different scenarios. Anyway.
Mom, I found a 5 love languages quiz that we can have you take later.
Oh, okay.
And we can put it in our show notes. So if you guys don't know what your love language is, you can certainly take the quiz to find out what yours is. But also, I definitely recommend reading or listening. I did Audible, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It's very insightful.
I think 30-minute version.
Not the 30-minute version. I think a couple of things. One, you really can't love somebody until you learn to love yourself. So learning what your love language is going to be helpful for all relationships, like Courtney was saying. And then learning the steps on how to communicate that with your partner or with a family member. And then figuring out what your partner or loved one's love language is, and then communicating to them in the language that they see fit. I think that's just overall better for communication and relationships. So definitely recommend this. Okay. Or some of those other myths.
Myths. Let's see. One of them is that gifts, I think we kind of already talked about it, but one of the myths is that gifts are the universal language of love, that everybody likes to receive a gift.
Not necessarily.
I think we already already covered that, but I think everyone
I would totally prefer. I would prefer instead of having a gift, if the house was clean, that would be a way better gift. Mom, what's grinding your mom?
What's grinding my gears? I think these are just guidelines, and I don't mean to be a difficult person. I think they're just guidelines because every now and then it's not the universal gift, right? You can't just keep throwing physical things at people and think that's going to fix a relationship and whatnot. But I think, you were talking about understanding your partner's love language, or whether it's a platonic relationship, work, a familial, understanding what they would need. I think gifts are always a good thing. They're always welcome. It's not like you're looking for that all the time. And, words of affirmation, think about at work. Again, I get from relationship to relationship. Thinking about work, your boss commenting you on what a great job or what a great presentation you did. But for a partner also that says, hey, you look really great, or, I love you, whatever it might be. I think everybody can benefit from all of these. That's why I think I had such a hard time as far as what my love language is, because I don't have one that stands out. There's not one thing on here that I could say, yeah, if this would be done on a consistent basis, then okay. Because I think from my perspective, acts of service, let's take that into consideration. Courtney, even Brittany, having a clean house or having somebody put the laundry away, whatever it might be. There may be an instance where, okay, your partner has been doing that on a regular basis. What happens on that day that they don't? for me, the way I always look at it is I always try and put myself in the light of, well, how are they feeling? What are they experiencing? What is the day that they're going through? So I kind of look at it from their perspective always. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. So that's why I was having such a hard time with identifying what this love language is, because I could use all of them, but none of them stand out.
Yeah, so you're right. It's love is multifaceted and it goes beyond the 5 love languages. So, but I think that these languages help offer a framework for understanding why certain actions or behaviors might feel more loving to different people.
Okay.
So really that's just kind of how I look at it. It's the framework. It can help improve communication. It can foster deeper connection with your partner or the people around you. It can help you understand yourself and why you feel certain things. It can help with conflict, but it's by no means an exhaustive list. You know what I mean? So I don't think that it's meant to be that. I think that ultimately, I'm sorry, I'm losing my, sorry. I think that ultimately, like a combination of effective communication, mutual respect, and these tools can help. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that they are like definitive. They're not exhausted. They're not like your how-to guide to have a successful relationship. They're more. Again, I keep going back to guidelines. They're more like guidelines than actual rules.
More like guidelines. No, but you're right. I agree with you, Mom. I think we're. What am I saying? Hello, I think I just had a stroke. They are more like guidelines, and I think it's more of a, here is a tool to help you learn to communicate in relationships. It's not the end all, hear all, say all, sign, seal, deliver, that's it. But it's to help kind of open up communication in relationships. Like I remember one of the stories, it was about a marriage and they were together for forever and they were on the brink of getting a divorce and he helped them identify their love languages. She's like, he just doesn't talk to me ever, or not talk to me. He just doesn't pay me any mind. He doesn't love me anymore and this and this and that. And they just, at some point or time in their relationship, forgot how to communicate with each other. So to some degree, if you're communicating with your partner effectively and efficiently and continuously, I think that, things are going to be fine. But especially, for an example, in a relationship where that communication has dropped off and you're having a hard time either feeling love or showing love to your partner, this is a great way to kind of break it down and think, okay, how can I kind of open up this barrier that we've got here and start lines of communication again?
That makes sense. I could see this also being a great guideline for people who are in a new relationship, to try and figure out, what things their partner likes. And also for like empty nesters, because you've been running around with the kids all the time and they've been your attention for X amount of years, that you've maybe forgotten how to communicate. And I think this is a great tool for that as well.
Yeah. I think what it's done for me is it's given me the vocabulary that I never knew I needed, if that makes sense. Because again, I keep going back to like, obviously my own relationship, but there are times where I maybe don't feel like being touched in that moment. But David, this is how he's expressing how he's loving me. So now I can react one of two ways. I can be like, stop touching me, get away from me. And I can be nasty about it. But when I understand wait, this is how he shows me he loves me, then it'll help kind of rein my own self in. And I can kind of be like, okay, I know that you're trying to show me that you love me in this moment, but right now what I need is space. So I think it can help strengthen an emotional bond when you understand that, when you just understand those things about your partner. Again, it's not like an exhaustive list or a follow these 5 love languages for a successful marriage, but I think it's a really useful tool in learning how to communicate and sometimes navigate those really emotional moments in a relationship.
Yes, so
no, I definitely no, I agree with that. I agree with that too, because I think there are a lot of times where you're like, your partner's doing something and it annoys you and you're just like, oh, right? And they're not trying to do it to annoy you. Just like you said, Courtney, it's giving you the language and the vocabulary to be able to understand where that person's coming from. They're doing it because they're trying to show you that they love you, right? So, mine's not really physical touch. I'm the same way with you, Courtney. Maybe he's like tickling me or something like that. I'm just like, oh. But yeah, no, it definitely kind of gives you perspective to kind of take a step back and realize, okay, he's not just doing this to annoy me. Or maybe, it's a big deal for me that the clothes go in the hamper. It's not that big of a deal to him, but he's not trying to purposely hurt me when he doesn't do it. It just kind of, just like you said, Courtney, kind of gives you vocabulary and language for communication and understanding why certain behaviors and things are happening, and to kind of mediate and control your responses to those things.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we convince you, Mom?
They're more like guidelines.
They're more like guidelines than actual rules.
Yeah. What's a couple other of those myths?
I think that they're all things that we have talked about already. But go ahead. Did you see one?
Yeah.
Go for it.
One was that it's just for women, and it's not. Everyone loves. So.
Everyone loves. Everyone has a love language.
Everyone loves.
Yeah. I think what I would like to go in as we start to get towards the end of it is helping our listeners identify and communicate their love languages. So how can we help you guys, one, identify it, your love language, or multitudes of love languages? Mom, I can just see she's just like, I'm not with this. And then communicate.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Colt.
No, I was going to take over, but you can take over. If
No, go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. So we want to try to help our listeners and Mom figure out help you understand what your love language or languages may be. Again, we're not saying that this is the end all be all, that this is going to solve every problem you have, but we do think, as we have stated time and again, that this is a very useful tool in any relationship, in particular a romantic relationship, and in particular to help you communicate not only how you're feeling, but also help you to receive what your partner may be feeling. My chair is so squeaky. I'm sorry. I hope that mic is not picking up the...
Yes, I heard it.
Great. All right. Anyway, so we're going to take some time to reflect. So if you're listening, Mom, ready? Think about a situation where you have felt most loved and appreciated in the past. What specific actions or words made you feel that way? Doesn't have to be an all the time thing, Mom. As I feel like you're thinking every single instance, I don't feel this way. Just think about one time, or maybe the last time, that you have felt loved and appreciated. Are you gonna self-reflect or share with the class? Just so I know if I should move on.
I'm self-reflecting.
Okay. But now again, I want to interject here because I know of a situation in Mom's life. Sorry, I'm using it where she felt very happy and excited when she got a compliment at the gym. Somebody was commented on how strong she was, and it made her light up and it made her feel a certain way. So maybe not in every situation, but maybe words of affirmation is part of your love language. You don't need it to feel loved, but when somebody gives you a word of affirmation like that, it makes you feel a certain way.
I think those unexpected affirmations.
Gotcha.
But again, that's not a romantic.
Right. Not a romantic thing. But anyway, so listeners, think about that situation where you have felt loved and appreciated in the past. And does it fall into any of those 5 categories? Another self-reflection exercise you can do is imagine receiving an unexpected act of kindness. What kind of gesture would have had the strongest impact on you? For me, it always goes back to words of affirmation, I think. Brittany, I think you said acts of service for you, right? That act of kindness. All right. Next, pay attention to your internal reactions. When your partner does something for you, what emotions do you experience? Does it feel like a chore being done or a thoughtful gesture showing they care? So I know these seem like very simple questions, but they're really meant for you to just think about. You don't even have to have an answer. Just try to reflect and think about your interactions with your partner. And when was the last time you felt loved and most appreciated? When the last time that your partner did something for you, what did you feel? Pay attention to the moments where you felt the most emotion, and we could start there. Again, doesn't mean that you only have one love language. It could be multiple. Maybe it's like mom and none of them are really resonating with you at the moment. But
I think even more so. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say maybe at least doing some self-reflection can help give you some insights as to what you're feeling.
I think overall just taking the time to self-reflect, because I think we all get stuck in just going through the normal cog of every day, and just taking the time to, okay, what made me happy today that my partner did, or what maybe annoyed me. So taking the time just to self-reflect is going to be very insightful for you, period. But also to start paying attention to your relationship with your partner. Like there was a point in time when before I started this, I was like, let me just keep track of all the things that I say to him today. And one day, nothing was like positive because we were at work. We finally came home and like the house was a mess. So I was stressed and this and that. And I had realized I had said nothing like positive or affirming or anything nice the entire day. So it's also just helpful to take a step back and just reevaluate you individually in that relationship and to see what you're putting into it. We talked about this before with friendships, just with friends. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. So just taking that time to self-reflect on it is going to be very, very empowering and very insightful.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's really important to understand that no matter how long you've been with someone, you and the other person, neither of you are mind readers. As much as we want our husbands to know and do, just, we've said this before on the podcast, but they should just know, okay? They should just know. But they don't. And we hold it against them. But I'm not a mind reader either, and neither is he. And so something like this is a really good communication tool because it can really help, again, give vocabulary to something that you didn't know how to express before. I know that this past week I had COVID and I was locked in a room because my husband would let me out. No, it sounds terrible. But anyway, I had expressed, I think on the last episode, that everything was getting done. He was doing the cooking, the cleaning, the driving, the kids back and forth everywhere. He was working nonstop. And I kept saying to him, like, thank you so much. Like, I know I don't have to thank him for caring for his own kids, but I wanted him to know that I appreciated what he was doing. And his response to me was like, why are you thanking me? It has to get done. Like, and I was hoping that he would turn around and be like, man, babe, I don't know how you do it all, but I really appreciate you. But he never said that.
Maybe
I started getting annoyed that he didn't say it. I actually had a full argument with him in my brain because he didn't acknowledge that this was hard work and thanks, babe, for doing it, because his mind wasn't there. That's just not how he was thinking. He wasn't like, you know what, my wife really appreciates words of affirmation. Let me go tell her. That just wasn't what he was thinking. He was focused on, a linear thing, and it's got to get done. But anyway,
exactly.
Yeah. So point being, I knew in that moment that the reason why I was feeling quote unquote unloved in that moment is because I'm a words of affirmation person. And for me to feel appreciated in that moment, I expected him or wanted him to say something like that. And he never did. And so it made me feel a little less than. It made me feel like, wow, I guess they didn't need me because they were fine without me for the week. And so I said something to him and I was like, it would be nice if you would just say, and he kind of chuckled at me because he like remembered that that's how I am. And he was like, of course, like we appreciate you. Of course, blah, 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 But anyway, the point is that could have turned into a huge fight, or that could have turned into me holding on to emotions and holding on to a grudge, or maybe planting something deep in my heart that I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough for my family, or they don't need me, when really I just understood that my love language is I wanted him to kind of tell me that he missed me and that it was hard work without me, and he didn't. So it made me feel some type of way. But I was able to communicate that with him and avoid a big, issue.
I think that's the key, though, there, too, is that it's the communicating.
Yes.
If you just held on to that, you
Right.
said, you would have let that fester, and who knows what that would have turned into.
Right.
So kudos to you for actually saying, because
it was bothering me, and it's
sometimes you don't do it, right?
Yeah, and I think that especially as I don't want to speak for either of you, but I know for me, I always had this idea that like, oh, women are emotional and that's a bad thing, right? So I never want to be the drama queen or never want to be overly dramatic. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have control over emotions, because I do think that, our emotions shouldn't rule us and we shouldn't base our decisions on emotions. However, just being in touch with our emotions and being able to recognize all of that is very helpful. Does that make sense? And I didn't want to express that at first because I was like, I'm just being emotional, right? I'm just being a drama queen. But when I understand the love language and I understand, no, you're not. This is valid what you're feeling. And, there's just a way to communicate it without getting all bent out of shape. So anyway.
I think that the last little part of the book really talks about how you can communicate your love language with a loved one or a partner. So there are some tips that we can definitely go over for that. But one of the things that I remember from listening to that book several years ago was that if you don't know how to approach your partner about telling them what your love language is, try to just do what is the word I'm looking for? Try to just do their love language. So say, for example, your partner is words of affirmation. Instead of having a whole sit down conversation of, hey, babe, these are love languages. This one's mine. This one's yours. Let's start communicating. Right. He was saying, just start. If he's words of affirmation, just start doing it. And I think this is the same example of that couple who had been together for a very long time. They just kind of lost their relationship and they were on the verge of getting a divorce. And she's like, he's never going to do this. He's like, just try to start doing words of affirmation. And she started doing that. And within a little bit, he noticed. And then all of a sudden he started reciprocating back to her. And it kind of helped heal things just a little bit. So that's also, you don't have to sit down and have this entire conversation and study this book and learn all of these things. Try to figure out what your partner's love language is and then communicating in that language. And you don't even have to say anything. Just see what it does. See how it might change the mood or change their behavior or change kind of your outlook and maybe re-spice up your relationship a little bit.
Yep. And if you're one of those women or people, I should say, that's like, well, they should do it first, I'm going to tell you, stop that right now. The only person that you can control is yourself. So while we have wishful thinking about what we wish our partners would do, control yourself and take the first step. It doesn't make you less than. It makes you serious about trying to mend your relationship. So knock it off. Okay.
Sorry. Knock it off. And I think the other thing too is oftentimes when things are emotional, you can't help but you do this and you do that. And, and it becomes accusatory and then you get nowhere with your partner. I always try and turn things around and say, this is what I need. And it's less accusatory. There's less of blame going on. But I also think that there's this fine line that if you completely turn it, this is one of my biggest things, you always make it about you, or you go to them and you say something and, well, what about the time that you did this? Right. So try and do a balance as well. But if you are going to turn it around, maybe do something like, well, what do you need? What would you like me to do? And I think, Courtney, you've touched upon that in a previous podcast that we had. But again, stay away from the blame game, stay away from being accusatory, share with your partner what's important to you, but then also turn it around and ask them. Because if you want the relationship to thrive and grow, one of the things that you can do is actually ask them rather than assume what they want and what they need.
Yep. Good advice, Mom.
Yes. Maybe she is starting to understand it.
See?
All right. Awesome. So we are going to link in a quiz. It is actually, I think, a Gary Chapman quiz that he created. He is the author of the book, The 5 Love Languages. And he also has a plethora of other books about love languages. Like, didn't you say you found them, Mom? What were some other? It's like
there was
teen
one for
love languages. And
love languages for single people, love languages for teens. There was a whole bunch of different love languages. I'm like, oh, which one should I get? I'm not single. I'm not a teen, but there are a bunch that he's written. So if you're not, married or in a relationship, there is one for single people. So
I imagine it's kind of all the same stuff, but probably just different examples and different perspectives based on if you are in a relationship or if you're a teenager or something along those lines.
Yeah, because like I had touched upon earlier or asked earlier, can your love language change as you age, right? And you guys said, yeah, he did cover that. So I was just looking for, there's the 5 love languages for men. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
Oh, he's got a whole thing on here. He's got Love Nudge, which is a mobile app, the personal assistant for your relationship. And he has the 5 love languages learning course, 6 videos for $9.99, and a bunch of books. And then he has a roadmap to better love. And there's a lot of stuff.
There's a bunch
on here. So,
yes, there's a bunch.
There's resources.
I think that
we'll make sure
the underlying thing here is self-awareness. I've heard so many people, so many of my friends over the years, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. Again, we can't control others, we can only control ourselves. So start with what you can control. Start with yourself. Change yourself. You cannot expect someone else to change or your relationship to change if you are not willing yourself to make a change. So don't be too prideful to take the first step.
Love it. All right, ladies, anybody else have anything else to add?
No, ma'am.
Nope.
All right, Courtney, since you're the closer, would you like to close us out?
Closer. Isn't that a show? The Closer.
That is the closer.
Kira Sedgwick?
Yes, Kevin Bacon's wife.
Yes. She's awesome. Kevin Bacon's wife? Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that about Kira Sedgwick. Now I know. I really didn't know that. Anyway, so thank you guys for tuning in to another riveting episode of the Wayward Lasses All the Things podcast. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Are you still huffing over there? I heard it. I heard riveting. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to All the Things. We love and appreciate you all. Until next time, we are the Wayward Lasses, reminding you to keep it real. See you next time.
Bye. Thanks for stopping by.
Stay classy.
Stay classy.